Story 1: The Wrong Goodnight. The wind howled outside like a hungry thing, rattling the old windows of the Harper family's two-story colonial. 15-year-old Lena Harper sat curled up on the couch, her phone in one hand, a half-eaten bag of Doritos in the other. Her parents had left her alone for the night, a rare treat. Mom was pulling a double shift at Mercy General, and Dad was out of town on business. The house was hers. No rules. No bedtime. Just her, Netflix, and the eerie silence of an empty home. "You'll be fine," her mother had said before leaving. "Just lock the doors and don't answer for anyone." Lena had rolled her eyes. As if she wasn't a kid anymore. But now, as the clock ticked past 11:47 p.m., the house didn't feel so welcoming. The shadows in the hallway seemed longer. The creaks of the settling foundation sounded like footsteps. She shook it off. "Just your imagination." Then, "Good night, Lena." A voice. Soft. Sweet. Her mother's. Lena frowned. Had Mom come home early? She turned toward the hallway. The lights were off. No sound of keys jingling, no footsteps. Just blackness. "Mom?" she called. No answer. Her phone buzzed. A call. "MOM, Mercy General." Lena's blood turned to ice. She answered. "Hello?" "Hey, sweetie," her mother's real voice came through, tired but warm. "Just checking in. You okay?" Lena's throat tightened. "Did you just say goodnight to me?" A pause. "What?" "No, I'm still at the hospital. I haven't been home." The line went staticky for a second. "Lena? You there?" But Lena wasn't listening anymore. Because down the dark hallway, something creaked. Lena locked her bedroom door. It was nothing. Just the house. Just your brain playing tricks. But she couldn't shake it. That voice had been real. It had come from the hallway. Not from a phone. Not from her head. From inside the house. She pulled out her phone and texted her best friend, Jake. "Lena, dude. I think someone's in my house." "Jake?" "Lena, I heard my mom say goodnight. But she's at work." "Jake, bro. That's some horror movie shit. Check the house." "Lena, no way." "Jake, then call the cops." Lena hesitated. What if she was wrong? What if she called 911 and it was nothing? Her parents would kill her. Then. "Lena." A whisper. Right outside her door. Not her mother's voice this time. Something older. Something wrong. Her breath hitched. Her fingers trembled as she dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency?" "There's someone in my house," she hissed. "I'm alone." I heard a thud against her door. Lena screamed. The 911 operator's voice sharpened. "Stay where you are. Police are en route." But the thing outside her door laughed. A wet, gurgling sound. Like it knew. Like it didn't care. The police found nothing. No broken windows. No open doors. No sign of forced entry. "Probably just the wind," the officer said, giving Lena a patronizing smile. "Happens all the time." But Lena knew. Something had been in the house. That night, she slept with the lights on. And in the dead hours of the morning, she woke to the sound of breathing. Slow. Steady. Right beside her ear. She froze. A hand touched her shoulder. And a voice, her mother's voice, whispered. "You should have answered me, Lena." The next morning, Lena found a note taped to her mirror. In handwriting that wasn't hers. "Next time, I won't say goodnight." And beneath it, a single bloody fingerprint. Story 2: The Call from Inside. The Thompson house had always given Megan the creeps. It wasn't anything obvious, no groaning floorboards or cold spots, no portraits with eyes that seemed to follow you. Just a feeling. A quiet, persistent wrongness that settled over her shoulders the moment she stepped inside, like a spider lowering itself onto the back of her neck. She shouldn't have taken the job. But $50 was $50, and the Thompsons were desperate. Their usual sitter had cancelled last minute, and Megan, at 17, was the only one in the neighborhood who could fill in on a Friday night. "The kids are already asleep," Mrs. Thompson had said, handing her a 20 up front. "Just keep an eye on the baby monitor. We'll be back by midnight." Now, sitting alone in the dim glow of the living room TV, Megan wished she'd said no. The first call came at 10:17 p.m. The landline, an ancient, cream-colored relic mounted on the kitchen wall, rang with a shrill, mechanical bleat that made her jump. Who the hell called a landline anymore? She hesitated before picking up. "Hello?" Silence. Then, a whisper. Soft, rasping, like dry leaves dragged over pavement. "Have you checked the children?" Megan's stomach clenched. "Who is this?" The line went dead. She stared at the receiver, heart pounding. A prank call. Had to be. Some idiot kid from school messing with her. She forced a laugh, shaking her head. "Get it together, Megan." But the unease lingered. She muted the TV and listened. Upstairs, the house was silent. The baby monitor on the coffee table emitted only the faint, staticky hum of an empty nursery. Still. She should check. The stairs groaned under her weight as she climbed, the darkness thickening with every step. The hallway stretched ahead, doors shut tight. The kids, Emily, 6, and Ben, 4, were in the last room on the left. She pressed her ear to the wood. Nothing. She eased the door open. Moonlight spilled through the half-open blinds, painting stripes across the twin beds. Emily lay curled on her side, one arm dangling over the edge. Ben was little more than a lump beneath his dinosaur comforter, his breathing slow and even. Megan exhaled. "See? Nothing. Just some asshole screwing with her." She closed the door softly and headed back downstairs. The phone rang again the second her foot hit the bottom step. This time, she snatched it up before the second ring. "Stop calling," she hissed. The same whisper. "Have you checked the children?" Her fingers tightened around the receiver. "Who the hell is this?" A wet, rattling breath filled her ear. Then. "They're not breathing." The line went dead. Megan's blood turned to ice. She sprinted back upstairs, taking them two at a time, her pulse roaring in her ears. She didn't bother being quiet this time, throwing open the kids' door so hard it slammed against the wall. Emily and Ben didn't stir. She rushed to Emily's bed, shaking her shoulder. Wake up." The girl's head lolled limply. Megan's breath caught. Then Emily groaned, blinking up at her. "Wah." Relief flooded her. "Sorry, sweetie. Just checking on you." Emily frowned but rolled over, already half asleep again. Ben hadn't even moved. Megan backed out of the room, her hands shaking. Not funny. Not fucking funny. She stormed downstairs and grabbed her cell phone. Whoever this was, they were done. She dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? Someone keeps calling the house, Megan said, voice low. They're saying stuff about the kids. Threatening stuff. Are the children okay? The dispatcher asked. Yeah, they're fine, but... The landline rang again. Megan's head snapped toward it. They're calling right now, she said. Stay on the line with me, the dispatcher said. I'm tracing the call. Megan set her cell on speaker and picked up the landline. Stop calling, she snarled. The whisper came again, slower this time, each word dripping with something like amusement. Megan, you didn't check well enough. Her stomach dropped. How do they know my name? The dispatcher's voice cut through the static. Ma'am? We've traced the call. Who is it? Megan demanded. A pause. Then. It's coming from inside the house. Megan's breath left her in a rush. No. No, that wasn't possible. She'd checked upstairs. The kids were fine. The rooms were empty. Weren't they? The baby monitor hissed on the coffee table. She turned slowly, dread rising like bile in her throat. The static shifted. A voice emerged from the tiny speaker. The same whisper. I'm in the basement. Megan's gaze locked on the basement door, just off the kitchen, always locked, the key hanging from a hook beside it. The key was gone. And the door stood slightly ajar. A soft click sounded from the phone in her hand. Then the whisper again, this time from directly behind her. Too late. Story 3: The reflection in the window. The first time Sarah saw the face, she almost laughed at herself. It was 2:17 a.m., and she was curled up on the couch with a glass of wine, rewatching The Office for the 100th time because sleep wouldn't come. The living room was dark except for the flickering glow of the TV, casting long shadows across the walls. Outside, the wind rattled the old oak branches against the side of the house, their skeletal fingers scraping the shingles like something trying to get in. Then, movement. A flicker in the blackness beyond the sliding glass door that led to the backyard. Sarah paused the show, her fingers tightening around the remote. There it was again. A pale smudge against the night. A face. Just for a second. Then gone. She exhaled, rolling her eyes. Jesus, Sarah. You're 32, not 12. It was just her own reflection, warped by the darkness and her tired eyes. That was all. She took another sip of wine and unpaused the show. But the unease lingered. The second time, she couldn't explain it away. 3 nights later, another sleepless marathon of bad reality TV. Another glass of wine. Another flicker of movement in the window. This time, she was sure. A face. Watching her. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. The face was too high up to be hers, hovering near the top of the glass, where no reflection should be. And the shape was wrong. Longer. Thinner. Then, like before, it vanished. Sarah stood slowly, her pulse hammering. She approached the sliding door, her reflection growing clearer as she neared the glass. Nothing outside but the empty backyard, the trees swaying in the wind. She unlocked the door and slid it open, the cold night air biting her skin. Hello? No answer. She flicked on the backyard light. Nothing. No footprints in the damp grass. No sign of anyone. She shut the door, locked it, and pulled the curtains closed. Just her imagination. Just her imagination. By the 5th time, she stopped telling herself that. Because now she was seeing it everywhere. In the bathroom mirror as she brushed her teeth, a flicker of movement behind her, gone when she spun around. In the dark window of the microwave as she waited for her coffee to heat, a face peering over her shoulder. In the black screen of her turned-off TV, a shape standing behind the couch. Always there. Always watching. Never when she looked directly at it. Only in reflections. Only when she wasn't paying attention. She stopped sleeping. started keeping every light in the house on at night. She called a locksmith to change the deadbolts, installed motion sensor floodlights outside. Her friends thought she was paranoid. Her therapist suggested anxiety medication. But Sarah knew. Something was watching her. The night she realized the truth, it was raining. A storm had rolled in around midnight, pounding the roof with fat, heavy drops. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea she hadn't touched in an hour. The curtains were drawn. The doors were locked. The TV played softly in the background, just for the noise. Then, a creak from the living room. Sarah went still. The house settling. That was all. Another creak. Closer. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark kitchen window, wide-eyed and trembling. And then she saw it. The face. Right behind her. Not outside the window. Behind her. Reflected in the glass. Sarah's breath left her in a rush. She didn't turn around. Couldn't. Because in the reflection, the thing behind her was smiling. And its hands were reaching for her throat.